What's going on, everybody? It is Mike and Wendy, and you're in the Marriage Shop. Welcome to Monday. Um, yeah, we up in here on a Monday, sometime in July. I don't really know what the date is anymore. It's yeah, it's hot. It's raining every day. I don't know what the date is. We're working too hard. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you are working hard. So yeah, it's the almost the end of July. We're in the third week of July. This
I'm,
year is going fast. I think we usually hit this point in the year 6 months in where it's like, man, the year is flying by. Where it seemed like it was just New Year's Eve, and now we're halfway through the year, and people get a little urgent about about what's going to happen and planning out the rest of the year. So that's where we are at the midpoint, midway through the mid month of the year.
yeah, you're talking about planning out the rest of the year. I'm having a difficult time planning out the rest of July, much less the rest of the year. Even though I did put on the calendar the dates that we need to take off, like later on in the year
Oh, that's
already,
good.
and into 2022 as well. That's new.
Yeah, that's new. That's a good thing. That's a good
Oh yeah,
thing.
we taking those.
Yeah. So welcome back. It is hot. We're still in Evans. We'll probably be on the road in a couple of weeks, and we may take you with us. So if you guys want to go on the road with us, just let us know, and we can talk about it and see how we can make that happen.
Oh, you all want to come on the road, y'all? You want that? I mean, not like physically with us because we don't want that, but yeah, we'll take y'all for a couple of minute or two here or there. Why not?
Yeah, Camilla Freeman, thanks
Hey,
for
Camilla.
checking in. I think we missed you the other day, Saturday. Mike said he saw you, but we didn't get a chance to get over there to you and give you a hug. So hope things are going well for you. It was good to be back at Chosen this past weekend, and just back around that family. And a couple of things we'll say about that. You want to talk about what you were doing at Chosen?
I mean, sure. Not unique. Mackie Pastor chose. He asked me to speak while he was out of town, and I was telling him. I mean, I don't know why you keep asking me to speak, man. People are gonna like, they're gonna leave this joint. No, but it was great. It was really good, and so just talked about um, transformational leadership, kind of the recipe for transformational leadership. How you live in a way that changes people, right? Because ultimately, leadership is not about you at all, right? It's about something else. It's about other people. It's about doing something that's bigger than you with the help of other people and being able to get them to send a message to them and live a life that causes them to perhaps move, change, maybe even transform because you showed up. Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's what
was
that's about.
good. It was good. So,
Thank you.
Morgan and I were able to be in the audience, but I think, aside from what you shared, which was right on point, it was just good to be back around some of our chosen fam. So,
Yeah,
it's always good, always love, always acceptance, always feeling like you're part of the family when we're in that environment. So, you guys didn't disappoint. It was just like we were just there. Yeah, yeah. So with that said,
really.
what?
Oh no, she said her aunt was visiting from New York and she really enjoyed the message. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Hey, Brian McNeil. Thanks for
What's up, Brian?
dropping into the
Yes, sir.
marriage shop tonight. So, last week we talked about dumping the clutter from your past relationships, right? Getting rid of those things that you may be continuing to hold on to, literally and figuratively, that may be preventing you from moving past that past relationship, right? And so it was, I think, being free to love completely because you have let go of the things that you need to let go of. And so you guys, there was some great discussion around that. Hey KC,
KC,
welcome
what's up,
back.
cuz?
And so yeah, we had some good discussion around that. So we couldn't come to an agreement on what we were going to talk about tonight. Um,
We could?
no. So
Huh.
I had one idea of one direction to go. And then that was just kind of, Mike was a little lukewarm on that one. And then he had another idea of where we should go tonight. So We're talking about what he wants to talk about tonight.
Really? That what it is? I thought we agreed on that, but that's all good. So anyway, yeah, we talking about that tonight though. So because what happens when you're not getting what you want? So yeah, tonight we're gonna talk about something I think is pretty common among couples. There's some who perhaps have cracked the code on this, and others who are still working through it. Some of them are in the throes of it right now. But I think in most relationships, there is there's a thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's that thing that you just can't quite seem to get past. It's the thing maybe that you ask for, the thing that you want to happen, right? And we're not talking about gifts or anything like that. It's like, I want you to start picking up your socks. I want you to start maybe washing the dishes. I want you to, maybe start, stop doing this or start doing that, right? And the change doesn't come. And so you ask again, right? And then you start reading books about it. Then you start maybe talking to friends about it, and then you're reading, you're surfing the net, and you're discovering all kinds of things about negotiation, about being kind, and get and setting the stage and all that stuff, and you do all those things, and guess what? Same old thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changes.
Yeah.
What then?
Yeah, with that, McNeil, welcome back.
Hey, what's going on?
Michelle Moore Wilson, it's been a minute, but glad you're back.
I thought y'all had moved to New York City.
Yeah, we missed you guys.
Yeah.
So when you don't get your way, I mean, there's lots of ways to respond to that. I mean, and I think that we've talked about topics that speak to compromise and sacrifice, right? That we've sometimes kind of encouraged you that maybe the way forward should be to come to agreement, that maybe in certain situations it calls for one of you to be the one that concedes. But I guess specifically as it relates to what we're talking about tonight, doesn't mean that you just concede because you want peace, right? And so when you don't get your way, or there's something that you've requested, something that you desire, something that you want, and maybe specific to the other person's behavior, you would say, or no?
Maybe it just kind of depends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it oftentimes falls into a behavior thing. I want you to do this thing, or I want you to stop doing it, or like in our case, and you know what? Because I think I want to make sure we get it, that they get it, right? Yeah. So like in our case, it is like, say, the dogs, right? Y'all may know, if you watched us for a little while, I didn't really want dogs, right? And so at what point, so you get them, and then it's just like, right? And so what do? Right? Do you fight against it? Do you just like accept it? Is acceptance like giving up, right? Or if you want something to happen, you want somebody to change in some way, and they're not doing it, all right? And then you say, when do you throw your hands up? When do you say, well, when you offer grace? We talked about grace a lot.
Yep.
Right? At what point do you just say, okay, that's good? Is that giving up? Is there even any difference between giving up and acceptance?
Good question.
That's actually a good question. Is there a difference between acceptance and just giving up? I'm curious as to what you think.
Yes. So it looks like the Wilsons did move. They're on our side of town now.
What?
So welcome to our side of town. We're glad you're here.
So we see y'all less now.
And the water's fine.
No, welcome.
We understand that when you have a lot going on, it's a lot to move. And a lot of our friends are moving right now, especially in this area. So congratulations to you guys on a move. Yeah. So Jessica says, man, Lord, help me better show grace. Lord, help me better show grace. Yes.
Yeah. So Ron said, how do you get the yes with love? Yeah, Ron, it's a great question. We're not asking that question yet, though.
Yeah. So what is the question you're asking again?
Well, I want to know if there's a difference between acceptance and giving up. I've asked 1,000 times, and everybody can, and think about that thing. If you're in that boat, right, you might not be, but if you're in it, You don't have to share it with us, but think about that thing. You've asked for it. You've wanted it. It's not happening.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Then
I
what?
can think of a lot of examples. While you guys let us know, if you think or believe or know that there's a difference, drop that in the comments for us. But things like you mentioned, putting your socks away or picking your socks up off the floor or something like that, or laundry,
Hmm.
or just different things. I mean, and so we're not really going to dive into explaining somebody else's behavior, right? Because we've talked about that too. Maybe you were raised differently.
Hmm.
Maybe your approach to things is a little different. Maybe your perspective on some of those things is a little different, and you find yourselves now in the same place. So we're not really diving into that. We're just really on the surface of really the principle of the issue, right? And so, great question, Terrence Murrow. Welcome,
Hey,
and congratulations again on your retirement.
yeah, congratulations to America's newest retired Army colonel. Hey, yeah, congratulations. What we didn't tell y'all, Chosen, is that we
Hmm.
raced up to Columbia real
Hmm.
fast before service to so I could put my eyes on Terrence Murrow and his family, because he's meant a lot in my life. So congratulations, sir. Um, Welcome to the world of retired folks. It's great out here. Just don't work too hard now. It's crazy. Retired is just like tired,
Yeah,
as I heard
yes.
somebody say yesterday. So,
That's good.
all
That's
right.
good. So when he says compromise is not losing, concession is not losing, but collaboration is winning, and I think that's well stated, and that's it's great. However, when it comes down to that thing, right, which Mike said, most couples, most people have a thing. It's like maybe we were able to compromise and collaborate and come to some agreement on some things, but there might be that one thing, that one sticking point that you really desire for your spouse to do this thing or to change this thing, and they just won't. That's what we're kind of getting after. So Jessica says perhaps acceptance is based on understanding, and giving up is more out of exhaustion or agreeing to disagree. That's
Hmm.
good. That's good.
Oh yeah, the old agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is so unsatisfying. Actually, it's like I just let's just keep disagreeing until we work our way out of this thing. Agreeing to disagree, that is the essence of giving up. I think it's just like you stuck, I'm stuck. Let's agree we stuck, and we done, right? But there is something even that at least for me, when I hear acceptance and I hear giving up, there's something like emotionally that I feel when I even have to speak those words out loud.
Hmm. Say more.
Yeah. So acceptance feels light, right?
Hmm.
It feels almost like it feels like moving forward. Giving up, it feels a little bit heavy,
Mm.
and it feels. I mean, think about it. Just giving up, boom. I just fall down right here. Just
Yeah.
a pile of whatever. I'm just done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think maybe when you think of acceptance,
Mm.
it is you have come to a place of either understanding or acquiescence, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not that you're giving up, but you've come to a different place, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not a heavy place. But giving up really means that you're now hopeless on the situation,
Yeah.
right? So you
Mm-hmm.
you you have
That's
no
good.
hope.
Mm-hmm.
You have now just determined that there's no point, there's no purpose, and there's no reason for you
Mm-hmm.
to even continue to desire that thing.
Yeah.
So I think, and with that comes some weight. I think inherently that means that there's weight, because you may not be satisfied in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
but you've made a decision to just say, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is a little heavier. So Lisa
Yeah.
McNeil says giving up doesn't sound like resolution. It's more like something hanging over your head. Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Yeah.
Well stated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jessica says that can be a dangerous place. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
Because once you give up on one thing, it is easier to now kind of exist in a place where you kind of give up on a lot of things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so then we kind of get to a place where we're just apathetic. about we don't express our feelings, we don't express our desires because we are hopeless in that situation. So good, that was good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But I got to read this this next point, right?
Mm-hmm.
That point seems to create a void and a breach for the enemy to slither in. Yeah. So there's something about the way that you describe giving up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about acceptance,
Yeah.
right? And so acceptance, it is, if you think about it, right? It's acceptance. It is actually taking in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you accept a gift, you accept whatever. When someone gives you something, you accept that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So, but there's another level to that. I'll save that here for a few minutes. But there's even
Yeah.
another level after acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, to kind of expand on that a little bit,
Mhm.
you're creating space, right?
Yeah.
So when you're accepting,
Yeah.
you are creating the space or allowing the possibility for other things to occur. So it is okay. So maybe this is what I had my mindset on, and maybe this is the way that I see it should happen. But perhaps there's another way, or or I recognize or realize that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when you kind of get more into what Terrence was talking about in terms of really that dance of compromising versus really kind of coming together in collaboration on a thing. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and when you give up, this idea, this theme that's emerging, y'all are talking about in terms of the distance that's created. Think about when somebody, you're trying to get through something difficult. Maybe you're traversing the desert. I've done that, but or maybe you're trying to do whatever. If you're a runner, you've seen it where somebody else, they're running and they're just like, I don't have any more. I got to stop.
Yep.
I got to sit down. You're like, no, do not sit down. Right.
Mhm.
And then they just, boom. Sometimes they just do. They just crumble right there.
Yeah.
And so then what? Right. Or what if it's like, not only do I come right here, but I'm not getting up. I don't want to get up. I'm done. I quit. That's giving up. And there's distance that's created just by that, because someone is standing on their feet trying to move forward and someone else has sat down. They quit. Now, you may say, oh man, you're making it a little bit heavy over some socks. But there are all these little things often, like when people find themselves in trouble, a lot of times it doesn't start with the big thing. It starts with the little things that create distance. Right. And so when little things begin to come in, right, and create that space that we read about just a couple of seconds ago in the chat, it creates these little windows of opportunity for the enemy to slip in. And what do I say what do I mean when I say enemy, right? Your attention to be focused somewhere else, right? Maybe it's on your phone, right? Maybe it's out on the street somewhere, right? Maybe it's on your work. Right? Maybe it's on somebody who is not getting on your nerves. Right? All these little things that occur when there's distance in your relationship.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that occur that wouldn't normally otherwise occur. There's a lot of risk that you are subject to when there's distance. Right? Because there's something about being united that in and of itself is protective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
And so it's important to think about how these little things will often do things, maybe to frustrate and to irritate. And then you find yourself maybe in different places, paying attention to different things that are not each other.
Yeah, but even in the example that you gave, what may start out as a little thing does become a big thing very quickly, and it still can be the same thing. So it's not necessarily that a small thing leads to a bigger thing, is that the small thing becomes bigger by virtue of the fact that it is not addressed, right? Or not resolved.
Yeah.
Just like arguments or disagreements between you. If you never work to resolution of those things, then they themselves can grow. And so the whole idea behind what we're sharing with you tonight is, again, it comes back to communication and really being open and honest with each other, but confronting the things that may be causing the tension between you, the things that are unresolved between you, even when it's your own desire for change and the other person. And so then somebody might say, well, You know, your grandma might have told you don't expect the person to be any different after you get married than they were before you get married, and it's a losing game if you think that that person's going to change. And the truth is, we do change, but we don't change necessarily at the will of the other person. So change occurs in the individual level in its own pace and time, not because there is tremendous external force applied to it.
Yeah.
So nagging someone, staying on them, harping on an issue, continually confronting them about something that's important to you that may not be a priority for them is not a formula for success. So, hey, Justice Smith, we're glad you could
What's
join
up,
us.
bro?
And Sandy Griffin, can you scroll up?
Up as in like that way?
No.
Oh, okay.
The other way. Yes.
Where is
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. So she says, I think there are components of settling versus defeat, and both which can lead to a larger conflict later on, a festering of sorts. Exactly, and that's kind of what I was describing as well. So yeah, thank you for that. Because again, even if you're giving in for the moment, you may not be giving up on the battle, and there's a difference when we're talking about that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
how do you know what's the difference between giving in at the moment versus giving up? What are some things that?
Yeah, I mean, I think giving up, as we kind of discussed it earlier, was really speaking to the hopelessness, the quit, right? As you said, it is. I have no hope that this will change. I am now just determining that there is no point in even trying, and I'm not even going to make an effort, right? Giving in for the moment may mean, okay, well, I'm conceding in this moment, right? I'm going to accept that, you know, you use the example of dogs, but the other example we discussed is like me being on my phone, right? And so you have a desire for me to not be on my phone, you know, for whatever, you know, for all hours of the night or all night. And so it may be that giving in is I'm just gonna go to sleep tonight. However, I'm not giving up on this situation.
That makes sense. I get y'all. I'm here. I get y'all the real on that. So. I mean, so what I decided, because I just, you know, it's interesting because when we were living in, was that Maryland, when we got rid of the television, man, we that thing was like, we went back and forth for a long time about TV. Then it was gone. And it was like, and so it just kind of changed a lot of things. However, that was long enough ago that the smartphone was not kind of just, it was not what it is today, obviously, right? And so today now, like, the wind down looks different now.
Yeah.
And so it's a different manner of doing it. And so, yeah, if I had my choice, yeah, I mean, you know, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be exactly what it is, but I think I've definitely accepted that. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, it can't be this forever. It just won't. I don't know, you know, whatever. And I just go to sleep when it's time for me to go to sleep. And if I want something else, I just check in on. I check in on something else, and that's what it is.
Right. What you're describing is acceptance, more acceptance than it is giving up on a situation.
Oh no,
right?
Yeah, that's not. You're not giving up at all. Even though there was a time I kind of hit giving up, but it's like, you know, it is what it is. There were some questions that I had to ask myself actually.
You know? What are those questions?
Well, I had to ask myself. I wrote them down, but I'm trying to figure out. There's a bunch. I'm trying to figure out what the most valuable ones are. You know, what am I really losing was one of them, right? And so, like, what are you really losing? And so I had to, and everybody has to answer that question for themselves.
Yeah,
I think, because associated with that question is also, what's the origin of the thing that I want, right? Why do I want what I want, right? Well, if I really dig deep, and somebody may clown, I don't care. One of the things is, when we retired, I imagine we retired from the Army, and Wendy and I, we'd be up in Cracker Barrel at, like, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning with the 7, 8 o'clock crowd from time to time doing Cracker Barrel early in the morning. Really, true. And then that's one thing, and then the other is, I felt like, the phone is kind of getting in the way of me, right? I want me some intimacy. And so I feel like the phone is distracting. And so now I gotta like fight through whatever's on the phone in order to get her attention, I think. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to really think about that too. And it's like, well, is that true? I'm not sure. The question is it worth the fight? And how much of a fight is it really? Because the truth be told, how do I say this? Are they all grown folks? Everybody cover your children's ears. On the nights I ain't getting none, I probably wouldn't get none anyway, phone or not. So whatever.
Yeah, well, that's fact.
So it's like whatever, man. So we just do what we got to do. So I think there are a number of other ones that I think that are I think a bit more challenging. I'll share some of them with you in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things that I thought about.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And one of the things I'll say is something that we kind of coach and talk about a lot, and that's separating the person from the issue.
Yeah.
And I think when we get into this, that's really kind of my guidance to you all in this forum, right? While it applies in the workplace, and that's something that we talk about here, it applies in your relationship. And it is necessary to take the time to really tease out whether or not the person is the cause of the anguish, the despair, the anger, the impatience, the whatever it is, dissatisfaction that you have, or is there another issue, right? Is it their behavior, or is it that their behavior is taking away from something that you want or taking away from your experience? And so when you're able to just kind of stop, so first to have a conversation around it, but to pause and really dissect that thing, right? Really determine what it is. So as you in the story that you shared, that illustration, right? There was something that what I was doing, the way that you interpreted it was my activity was disrupting not your peace, but it was preventing me from being available to you.
Yes.
Right. And so it was a barrier. It was in the way.
Yeah.
But the real issue was that you want the attention, you want the time, you want the intimacy, you want the closeness when you want it.
Well, yeah, right. And but the real issue, right? I mean, because and there's a little bit of chat going on here. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm still not losing something due to that phone, because I believe that we are. I do. In terms of because you can't divide attention, right? Either the phone gets it,
yeah,
or your spouse gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, and so when you begin to do the math on how much time we spend with our attention focus on other things, the conversations that don't happen, the being, right, that don't happen. Yeah, I mean, there's still a loss there. So y'all don't get me wrong, right? I do believe that we still lose something.
Yeah. I mean, and there was no suggestion that there's not something that's lost, but that's what the discussion is about, right? So when you can get beyond the conflict or the tension, if there is some that's created because you're on two different sides of something, if you can get beyond that and really then have the discussion around what it really is, right? Because it is helpful to know that the thing that you're doing is affecting me this way. That is the conversation. It's not, I want to tell you what to do. I want to tell you how to live your life. This is how I want you to change. That's not really the conversation. The conversation is the thing that you're doing or not doing is impacting me in this way. That's the conversation. Can you go back up a little bit? I know there were some other ones on there. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, the phone. Yeah, right. So we all kind of struggle with that, right?
If you struggle with the phone, just say yeah, and just say yeah in the chat.
Yeah. And so Sandy says, defeat, the battle is over. Settling is a momentary pause. Yeah, that's good. Go down.
Okay. I thought
what? Is there something you see?
Well, yeah, all that. But
okay. So Jessica says, I think self-evaluation and partner evaluation should also be part of the relationship. Yeah, we've talked about that. I think we talked about it. It's been probably about 2.5 years ago now. Do you give, are you doing an evaluation? Like if you had to do a performance evaluation for your
Come on.
partner, like you do for an employee or employer, how would they rate on that? But thank you for bringing that up.
How many of y'all would be on a performance improvement plan right now?
Well, and she says we do change as we grow. We have to kind of relearn each other. I think that's where the constant pursuit of knowing your spouse comes in. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And then Lisa says something.
Oh,
Yes.
my bad.
Lisa says giving in for the moment means you're probably going to hear about it again. Yeah, exactly. That you're giving in, but it's not gone. So yeah. And Sonia Rowland, thanks for joining us tonight. We're glad you're in the marriage shop,
Yeah,
and it looks
absolutely.
like
Welcome.
you guys are having a good dialogue around some things. So yeah, we appreciate those comments. So wow, performance evaluation, exactly.
Right.
So she says, I literally had a conversation with friends yesterday about that phone. And so here's the thing. It doesn't need to be a us versus them, right? It doesn't have to be there are the phone users, and then there are the ones that say the phone is taking away from everything, right? People, there are so many different efforts around screen time and how it's impacting us and our ability to think and cognitive decline, and so many arguments around the phone and devices, right? I think if you get beyond the phone and you get to what they're doing on the phone, then that's yet another conversation, right? So what is it that's happening on that device or the laptop, the phone or the laptop or whatever device when it's happening? We could have a whole night and conversation around the cell phone and when it gets in the way.
That's the one. I mean, it's like I don't even care what's happening. One time I was like, you know what? I could throw all these phones away. I could just like dump them in the sink or trash.
Yeah.
I could do that right now, but we gotta live.
Yeah, but the point is, that there's an underlying issue, right? And so what happens is the tension that's created becomes a rift between the two of us, because regardless of whether or not his issue was with the phone use, what I received and perceived is that his issue was with me. And so then it becomes, well, I need you to reconcile your issue with me, and not try to dictate what I'm doing with my time. I don't dictate what you do with your time. I don't want you dictating what I do with my time. Conversation is so far removed from the fundamental issue that was at hand.
Yep.
I mean, and so that's just the way that we can share and illustrate for you how that goes from being a small thing. So maybe that first night or one night of you being on the phone at a time when I'm ready to do other things, and then become something so much deeper. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing that and kind of joining in the discussion on that. And so what are we talking about again tonight? What is the overall topic?
It's like, what do you do when you're not getting your way? Basically, that's your, not getting what you want. What do you do?
Yeah, when you're not getting what you want, what do you do? And basically, how do you handle it, right? And you talked about the difference between acceptance versus giving up. And so thank you guys for dropping in the comments, even breaking down for us the differences between acceptance and giving up. So what's the point, right? Beyond trying to figure it out and having the right conversations and separating the issue from the person, what's the point in us even bringing this up and talking about it? Is there something that is left for you all to do? Which is the whole point of why we even come on Mondays, right? Is to spark the conversation so that then you can maybe have a conversation you haven't had or need to have, do some reflection about where you currently are, and maybe perhaps talk about and think about how you might be able to do something differently.
Yeah, y'all. I mean, there's a ton of topics that we could cover, and some of them, and you all know how social media works, right? Some of them have some really juicy titles that really kind of pull people in. The things that are like, nagging people right now, and the things that are creating that breach, that I think Justice was talking about, the things that open up that little gap so that the enemy can get a foothold. It's all these little things that happen on a daily basis, a regular basis. And, that foothold thing is real. When there's a small breach, if you're trying to get into anything, think about it. Like the last time you had to have your keys extracted from your car when you locked them in, like I did. My truck was like almost brand new. Like the second day, I locked the keys in, and that bad boy was tight. However, it had, no matter how tight it was, it had breaches. And eventually they worked long, they worked hard, they got in that truck.
Yeah.
All right. So what about you? What about your relationship? Because if we allow these things to fester, it's just like we're gonna agree to disagree. You know what? I'm sick of this. We're not dealing with it right now. We're not gonna deal with it ever. Right. And so it's just sitting there, small breach. Right. And even when you're not working, like looking rather, something's trying to work its way into that breach. And if you live up north, you will know that if water is able to get into a breach and then it gets cold below freezing, boom, it expands.
Yeah.
Right? What does that have to do with marriage, Mike? Let me tell you, right? Because first you have these breaches, right? And then all of a sudden, a little bit of separation, a little bit of distance. Then the warmth is gone. It's cold, it's chilly. The breach expands. Come on, y'all. So it's important to think about all the things that create those so you can seal those up. And so I said I was going to share a couple of additional questions with you.
Yeah. Before you do though, I want to address, Sandy says, what happened to the thrill of the challenge? I take it as fun to challenge. I mean, as a fun challenge to redirect Frederick Griffin. And so you bring up a good point. And again, you have to know your spouse, right? So the two of you in your marriage, and not speaking specifically to Sandy, but to those of you that are in marriages and long-term relationships, the two of you that are in that relationship mesh and blend for a reason, right? At least that's our hope. And so there are ways that you complement each other, and then there are ways that you help each other grow and prune each other, or however you want to look at it, right? Yeah. But you come together, and there is some synergy in what exists. And so Frederick Griffin may enjoy the challenge. He may enjoy that you challenge him and redirect him to challenge him. That may be true. There are others who are like, you know what? Yeah, there's no point. I don't want to be challenged. There is no thrill in the challenge for me. And so it just, so I like that you bring that up though, because sometimes, yeah, you do need to mix things up just to kind of keep it fresh.
Yeah. So you just got to know, like, was it Jessica earlier that made the point? You got to kind of know your spouse, right? Are they looking for you to mix it up? Or is your spouse is like, vanilla? No, I want predictability. I want stability. I ain't trying to be challenged.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's funny. And that's what Jessica said. There are some don't play with me folks. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it's all fun and games, but there may be that one thing. So we want you guys to take some time to really think about maybe the one thing that nobody's smiling or playing over, right? There might be that sticking point or an issue that is yet to be resolved, perhaps. Okay, so the other questions you said.
Yeah, I won't share them all, but I do want to share a couple, right? One is this really worth going to the mat for? There are a lot of things that you need to go to the mat for. You need to have that conversation. You need to get in there, and we need to resolve this. Is this one of them? Like, is it? Because there's a good friend of mine, good brother, who I was talking to a while ago. He lost his wife, I think, 2013. And, we were talking one night, and, he's just kind of making the point that, with a lot of the things that these dudes are complaining about from day to day, he would give anything to have to be able to complain about something like that. Or he would give anything to be able to have that thing, right? That nagging thing, that whatever that thing is, he would give anything to have that.
Yeah.
And so if your spouse is going tomorrow, would you celebrate that? Like, yay, issue taken care of.
Wow. I mean, that's really deep, right?
Yeah.
I think in our day-to-day, we're not really thinking about if something happened to my spouse and they were no longer here. It was the small thing that I was standing my ground on. Was it worth it? Is it that important? Often we don't take it to that level, but perhaps we should.
Well, I think we actually should, because we don't know the day, the hour. We don't know how long any of us have. But I can tell you to a person, every person that I've known who's lost a spouse, who's come close, sees that person in a bit of a different way. And all those things that seem so important, they just disappear because they're not, right? And you can make the argument like, yeah, we gotta change and we gotta do blah blah. But suppose they never change. This is it. Suppose this is just what you got. Are you gonna celebrate when they're gone?
Hmm.
Or is it a situation where someone would give anything to have that so-called problem that you have?
Hmm.
So tonight is not about, this is not about the, learn the love language and make the change thing. It's not that at all. It's about, can you accept? Can you embrace? That's the next level. Can you love this person just as they are?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, so moving even from acceptance of the thing that they do, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
moving to accepting the person the way that they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think if we talk about accepting a behavior, something that they do or that they fail to do,
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not we continue to fight that battle, yeah, we've kind of talked about that, right? But accepting the person. So beyond that, when we talk about giving in or giving up, is that really the process or the act of saying, you know what, this is who you are, so I'm no longer going to fight who you are. And so it's not, I don't like the thing that you do and I'm going to continue to nag you about the thing that you do, but I'm accepting who you are. um, Being able to make a decision and then follow that with an action daily, or at some point, maybe it's not a daily acceptance for you, is critical to being able to live and have a marriage that thrives. Why do I say that? Well, a lot of you have shared it, right? We are ever evolving and changing independently and together. And
Yeah.
once we can move to a place of accepting the person that we have, the person that we're with, despite the things that they do, then is there's we're going to be challenged.
Yeah.
Inevitably, that person that you married is going to do something that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be a habit, a behavior, or one-time action. There's going to be something that happens that you're not necessarily a fan of. The question is not whether or not you can get over that thing. The question is whether or not you can accept them the way that they are.
Yep. And so Jessica says definitely food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's a potentially no, not potentially. It's a call to action, actually,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because and we try not to leave you all without some foundational basis for where we're coming from. And one of the scriptures that we were dealing with just was that day before yesterday, Saturday night, was Romans 5, beginning around verse 8. 7. I'll read it. It says, very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person. Though a good person, someone might possibly dare to die, or for a good person. Basically, what they're saying is, if you're like righteous, right? If you do the right things, rarely would somebody sacrifice themselves for you, right? If you do the right things, plus if you are like, a doggone, whatever hero, a good person, someone might possibly choose to die for you. But God demonstrated his love for us in this, right? And y'all know what I'm about to say. Some of you, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still sinners. And in fact, Christ died for us. He knew that we were going to be born. He knew we were going to be sinners. And God sent him to die for us anyway. And we can't accept the person that we see right now. I'm just saying. It's in the Bible, y'all. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. And I know Jesus, a very difficult example to stand up to, right? But he is the example, period. So think about that, right? died for our sins, knowing that we were going to sin, that we hadn't even sinned yet, we were going to sin, and then we're going to sin again. We were going to let him down, quote unquote, again. We were going to go against what his desire was for us again. We have instructions. We didn't follow them again. So, I just honestly, like the only reason that we hold on to the things we hold on to is because we don't want to let them go. We choose not to let them go. So, that's all. I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Well, what I'll say is, while the example of Jesus is a powerful one.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that it's a high bar, right? But as Christians, those of us that proclaim Christ as our Savior, the goal for us is to be Christ-like,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is for us to be able to do everything that we can to overcome our sin, to be better than we were, not to be without flaw completely, not to be perfect, not to be Jesus, but to be Christ-like. And I think that, there are people who say, well, nobody's perfect, and I'm not really even trying to hear about trying to attain some level of, trying to elevate to a place where I'm not making mistakes, and I'm not flawed. Yeah, nobody's saying that. Nope. Right? Because we've had that conversation too. But what we're saying is that each of us, individually and together, should be striving to be better than we were. Right? Yeah. And there, if you can come together with your spouse or the person that you're in a long-term committed relationship with, if you can come together and agree that you want to be better, or that what you have, maybe what you have is as good as it gets. Can you accept that? Right? Is it everything that you want it to be? Or maybe the question is, how good can it get? That's another one for you to think about this week.
How good can it get? Let me tell you how good it can get. So first of all, Jesus is a high bar, but you know what? I'm not letting y'all get away with that one anymore, right? None of us, we ain't getting away with that, because we're not being asked to die on the cross either, right? So relatively speaking, right, there's like no comparison, obviously, right? What he was asked to do, we're not being asked to do that,
right?
But we are being asked to sacrifice those things that are separating us from each other and from him. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is the goal, right? Because, and here's the kicker, y'all. If we can do that, like, love is the one thing that actually does change things. Mm. When you love somebody who you perhaps deemed unlovable, or when you get beyond that thing to separate you from somebody and you're able to show them love, like real love, that actually changes things. So what are you going to do? We got to go.
Yeah. So just in case you came in late with Mike and Wendy, this is the Marriage Shop. Tonight we were talking about when you don't get your way. Do you move to acceptance, or do you give up? And really kind of dissecting what that means, right? And I would dare say that I challenge you this week to question whether or not you're standing your ground at all costs, and if whatever the issue is that you're standing your ground on, is it that important? Mm-hmm. And then, or are you conceding just for peace? And I think somebody had that in there, hashtag maintaining peace. Mm-hmm. Or are you accepting but holding a grudge? Those are all ways that you can examine yourself this week. In terms of reflecting on what we've shared, have those conversations that maybe you've been avoiding. Sit down, talk about what we talked about, and make a determination and make a decision to go after something that may be a sticking point between the two of you. You might just be surprised how you come out on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Sticking point. That's funny. I love it. A grudge, a sticking point. A grudge is probably pretty sticky. I don't know what it looks like, but it's probably pretty sticky, the whole one. So anyway,
yeah.
But we're going to get ready to get out of here. Please, you all, share this with somebody because I think that I just think that it's very common. It's something that's that'll impact most people. So yeah, share
Yeah.
that. And we are on Facebook. We're on YouTube as well at the Mayor Shop on YouTube. And so
Hmm.
this is live on YouTube right now. In
Yeah.
fact, so
Oh, and one thing we
yeah,
wanted to mention, we talked about being at Chosen this week. They have their marriage ministry is Chosen Love, right?
yes, yep.
And they also, so if this time slot and what this day and time doesn't work for you, but you're available on Sundays, I think Sundays at 8
Mhm.
p.m. They come together and they do a Facebook Live where they are also talking about God's plan for marriage and having some very real conversations about it. And I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, y'all check them out. I mean, even if that this time slot does work for you, right? Check them out.
Yeah.
What are you doing at 8 o'clock on Sunday night anyway? Really? So, yeah, but we appreciate y'all really. We cannot tell you how much your presence here means to us, and how much your support means to us. And so we just profoundly grateful for you all. So
Yep.
we're gonna pray now.
Yep.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we just come to you just thanking you. Thank you for your goodness and for your grace and for the example of your son, Jesus, who died for the cross, died on the cross for us, um, even as we, his people, were sinners. And so we just thank you for the opportunity to be given new grace and mercy every day. And we just ask that we're all able to offer that to each other, to our spouses, to our husbands, to our wives. God, help us to love more like you, to forgive like you, um, and ultimately to try to be more like you. We thank you, we love you, and we trust you with everything. We pray these and all other blessings in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Look, take care, and we will see you. I
Next
don't
Monday.
know. Next Monday we coming back.
Yep,
I guess
at
we're coming back
7.
next Monday.
Right here.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's your boy JC. I'm in the mood, love, yeah. Lately I've been constantly thinking about you, babe. You drive me crazy, yeah. And girl, I want it. Got me all up in my feelings. Oh, what a feeling, yeah. I knew the first time I laid eyes on you that you would be here forever. I'm not being arrogant, and I still can't take my eyes off you. 'Cause you made me better, so much better. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime, baby. I love your kindness, I love your confidence. Ooh, you're the finest. So glad you're mine, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't wanna be with nobody else. Give me your love, that's all the wealth I need. Baby, you're priceless to me, yeah. To love you for a lifetime. I'm in the to love you for a lifetime, yeah. Whoa. Promise I'ma be around, I'ma always hold you down. Won't you come and hold me now? Won't you come and hold me now? I just got a new coupe, yeah, I know I got a roof, but I always keep it down with you, yeah. And I know they see, girl, you're my queen, and beauty speaks for itself loud and clear, yeah. Throw it in the air. It's the sweetest sound to follow my ear. And I want the world to know I'll love you forever. And that's a long time, babe. But I got time for you, baby. I'm in the mood. Ooh, for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you, yeah. For a lifetime, baby. Ooh, yeah. For a lifetime, oh, for a lifetime, yeah, yeah.